Hello everyone, welcome. What's up? Happy weekend everyone. How is everyone doing? It's another live stream, another opportunity to analyze the market together, to look for opportunities for next week and to see where the best opportunities are. I hope you guys had a good week and also a good month of November. And let's see. Right, let's see what's going to happen. Next week. We had a big sell-off on the euro. We had the dollar moving slightly to the upside. The indices continue to move a little bit more higher, especially Dow and S&P. NASDAQ not so much. Yeah, we had gold skyrocketing, basically creating new highs as well, which is interesting. Yeah, Bitcoin also slightly moving to the upside a little bit more. So it's going to be an interesting end of the last month of the year to see what's going on. Next week, of course, it's going to be labor market data. So this time, the first Friday of the month, it was not NFP day. So this is going to be actually next week on the 8th of December. And more labor market data coming out, the job openings, the ADP non-farm payroll, more job claims, and so on, finishing with the unemployment with NFP next Friday. Also a few interest rate decisions that's going to come up with the Bank of Canada, for example, Australia as well. Australia that had a better CPI than expected, so maybe it's not expected really to see another hike at this point. So the month before they had a slightly higher inflation report than expected, and we had another hike in interest rate. Not the CPI actually was slightly lower, so most likely they are not going to do anything. The Reserve Bank of Australia is not going to do anything in that regard. Yeah, so that's a little bit of what we're going to have. GDP in the US slightly better than expected. Manufacturing not so much. Inflation in the Eurozone also is getting better than the reports are coming better than expected, and we saw actually the euro moving to the downside. The yen pairs as well, like it looks like maybe we have created the highs on the yen pairs for the time being, which means the bottom on the yen index, as we'll analyze in a bit. And this was basically what we were already anticipating after the yen index had already broken this high. Okay, so we noticed that the yen index had broken that high. We noticed that there was a fresh level still in here underneath that price could eventually go towards 2, and that's basically what happened. Actually left slightly the zone underneath fresh yet, because this walls didn't really react all the way down. It just took slightly that structure that was in there, and that sometimes happens, many times happens, to be honest. And then since then prices now continue to move in the direction of the engulf to the upside that we had in the first place. Okay, so that's a little bit of what we have. So expectation of looking for more print on the yen, which eventually is going to take us more moves to the downside on euro yen, pound dollar yen, pound yen, and so on and so forth. Which maybe there were some of the best opportunities in the market was actually in these yen pairs this week. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we have. So again, as usually, again, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I haven't really been that active with trading this week. Actually been working on the back end. I'm actually going to create my own community, my own group, so there's going to start to be an opportunity if you are interested in working together, which now you are going to be able to do so. More information I'll be sharing also in the next few weeks. There's going to be that opportunity, which is planned to start in 2024 in here. So yeah, so let's take a look at the market and what the dollar has been doing, and then we continue. Like, so we look at the dollar index, that's the first one, and then we look a little bit of the remaining of the indices, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, DAX, mostly those four. Then we continue with the Forex pairs, individual currency pairs, and we jump into commodities, gold and oil in more particular, and then we go into crypto where we take a look also at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and yeah, feel free to interact or to ask any questions. Feel free to recommend any key levels that we are looking for next week. We can have that conversation and try to look together for what's next. Where are the best opportunities for next week? So that's basically how the live stream is going to to go. All right, so let me just bring in here the pencil. Dollar index. Okay, so we finally had a correction, and where was the correction from? It was exactly from the level that one of the levels that we were looking for. Okay, so we did mention that dollar index was a lot of compression in here. There was a lot of lows already created around this structure, and therefore we were actually looking for price to continue to move a bit lower. Yes, there was initially a reaction underneath this low into this French demand zone where actually price reacted from, but after that we had this one which is already kind of broke off that one, kind of have all this situation here, which we're then already looking for price to go into the next structure, which is basically where price ended up reacting to this last week. Okay, so that's basically what we had. We talked about those levels. We already anticipated kind of a few of those levels to where we were expecting dollar index to react from, and that's exactly where it reacted. We actually did this exercise of getting into the lower time frame to see exactly if price would just react from kind of this line, or if there was maybe something a little bit of this structure that maybe could anticipate price to react from. Okay, so in terms of performing this line, I think we actually realized that that high or that zone was actually spiked already by this low, right? So basically this low basically already took that the orders basically from this line, which is kind of support resistance from at the left, but what it was left behind, it was actually this demand zone in here. Okay, so again, between those 2-3 levels that usually price tends to react from, again I touch point a little bit on that topic last week. So one of those was basically already reacted from this low, but the other one was literally still fresh in here, which is still kind of a good zone overall in here to expect the dollar index to react from, and that's exactly what happened. The approach was okay as well. Okay, starting to bounce a little bit higher, and then it finally turn, and we basically have that one second. Yeah, just press some stuff in here. And then we actually had this break of the high. We have this low, this structure, right? So that's exactly what we start having. Even maybe some kind of trend line in here if you are waiting for that extra confirmation. Okay, and then you finally have the turn in here, but you do have kind of the fake out of that structure in there, and then start breaking to the upside. And most likely there was already a slightly break to the high, to the upside even before that, maybe in here. Yeah, so actually we want to see first maybe break to the highs and fake out, and then kind of confirmation break to the highs, retest into the structure, and then you're looking for your opportunity to for a trade in there, which is kind of goes in alignment with the structure as one of the points, and then kind of another one, it will be eventually the upper edge in here, and then kind of maybe another one in here, which basically it was this level in here. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we had. Good pattern of reversal on the dollar index, which is kind of a bit similar on the euro dollar, which also reacted really nicely from the level that we had in mind last week that we mentioned as well. So what's next on the dollar index, right? So that's the next question, of course, now that it reacted from here. Now, bigger picture, is this the final target? That's a good question, right? So is this the final target in the bigger picture for the dollar index, or is this just another retracement, just similar to this one, before maybe price just resumes and moves to downside, right? Is that kind of what we should be expecting on the dollar index at this point, or instead of just now basically resuming the move to downside, should we kind of anticipate a bit more of a deep retracement in here? Okay, that's a little bit of what we need to pay attention to. Again, this level in here is kind of still fresh within this structure, and that's again this is going to be a good barrier. Okay, so somewhere in here there's maybe just, you can even go a bit more into detail. Okay, again, those 3-4 zones, same situation. Try to see maybe where price actually has reacted from. Okay, that was actually in here already reacted from. Okay, basically we managed to fake out this low. This was a beautiful PI in here, which happens quite often. This is exactly kind of what you want to look for, and then all of a sudden we create a new one in here, which basically has already been taken, and then maybe there is this last month zone in here. Unless there's something in here in the lower time frame that maybe price can still go a bit deeper and fake out this level. Otherwise, maybe the zone is going to start being in here instead to look maybe for a reaction on the dollar index. Unless there's something in here which we can still maybe fake out these walls, otherwise we go slightly higher, and yeah, that will be the zone in there, maybe to look for some kind of reaction, unless there's maybe something underneath there. So good question is there anything in here that maybe price can still use to then push price higher, right? Which maybe kind of starts from this level in here, even though yeah, didn't really touch it in there. Right, so that's a little bit of the question mark that we have. Is there anything in here that can still push price to the upside? We did manage to break these highs. Okay, so this was yesterday with the news. And when you do see actually price kind of moving a little bit like this, starting to move lower, but just making one last push higher just to move down, this actually tends to be more of a zoning move upwards than anything else. Okay, so that actually starts telling us that price actually wants to continue to move to the upside, unless there's already kind of a spike maybe towards this level, and then price continues to move down. Now price did a few times this move in here, but I'm not really sure if there's any reaction, a real reaction from this structure in here on either the base of this level. So there's at least the attempt to go there to push price down, or price can go down and then attempt to go higher. Okay, to come and correct maybe these orders somewhere in there to look for. So if price does leave this zone behind and starts approaching this level, there's maybe the opportunity to maybe price pushing higher. But now that we respected this level, maybe actually now break these highs and continue to move like this in here. Okay, this is a bit more advanced. It's just if then scenarios that usually tend to happen around this the way price moves and creates this type of behavior of PA. But yeah, this is something to bear in mind in here. Yes, we do have kind of, as I mentioned before, we do have maybe this trend line that maybe can draw something like this. And again, the question mark, another one is this highs actually reacted from where? Like where did this highs reacted from on the left side? And that's always the good question to understand also if this is a potential valid target, and therefore if it is a valid target for this move to the upside, therefore can maybe just resume the move to the downside, or it doesn't really react from anything important, which then increases even more the likelihood that maybe we can actually have this type of a move from this structure. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. Again, the lows in here on the left side, they are reacting from a okay level, like good level, call it B level maybe, not exactly maybe an A plus or whatever. That's more for the extremes in here. But this is an A plus level from that level, and this one is kind of a bit in the middle if you by any chance were looking to trade this range. But yeah, let's actually try to see in terms of Fibonacci, which maybe some of you that like to use this just to see where actually price went to. Like we actually reacted around the 61.8, right, Fibonacci level, which it's always a good level to look for some kind of reaction. Like again, whoever trades Fibonacci, I like to pay attention to Fibonacci's. There is the 50 mark, 38.2, 618. Again, I don't really look at Fibonacci just by itself. As you can see, I first actually identified the level that I was expecting or looking that there was maybe high probability the price could react from, and coincidental or not, it actually then eventually reacts from a good level in the Fibonacci. It reacts from a good Fibonacci level. Okay, it wouldn't be the other way around. I wouldn't be looking just for 618 and then be trading for every single one 618 or expecting every single reaction from the 618. Okay, actually go deeper when if you're using Fibonacci, actually see where actually those levels are reacting from, and why price maybe then doesn't react from those 50, 38.2 or 618 levels. Now, so therefore it's actually kind of a good level. So we can actually have a little bit of a correction in here, okay? So that's just something to bear in mind. On the dollar index, we can start anticipating maybe price, by any chance, if this level wants to go higher, which could happen, then you're looking a little bit for this target, okay? You may actually go above this double top that is kind of inside here, and maybe you can start looking for here, which this already kind of has quite a few highs in alignment, and then you are looking for price maybe to get into this level in here. Okay, so that's a little bit of potential zone to look for on dollar index. So now, again, if you ask me, has price reached the final destination of this move to downside? Maybe not. Maybe there's a move more to the downside. Second question, is this a good level to see maybe some kind of deep retracement on the dollar index, or at least kind of to fill this range in here? Yes, I think it can be a really good level. Therefore, next week you could have price filling this range in here before breaking the lows, or if by any chance you break below these lows, maybe getting a little bit more into this level, then we can still have this move happening either way. Okay. If then price starts continue to move further down, then looking for this above top in the below in here to be taken, and then start looking for price to get even more into there to look for something in here. And all of a sudden, this may be the final target for this move to downside, where price may fake out this low and get into here, and we'll see then what may happen after that. Okay, again, the best thing it will actually first react from the demand zone. It looks like it's still fresh, and later on kind of then finally fake out that level and maybe move higher. Okay, and that could be a scenario, or just completely break through. Now we are asking questions about these highs and so on and so forth, and that's not really the purpose for today. We are nowhere near that level in here. So that's a little bit of what we're going to be looking for next week on the dollar index. Are you going to fill this range? Is this a good level? What kind of behavior happened in here? And yeah, that's basically is going to be what we will be looking at on the dollar index at this point in here. Looking at the base of this, so that's kind of reacted already from this level, so that's taken, and kind of now look for the base of the other one, either from here, which basically where price actually reacted from, at the low that created that last high, and kind of actually touched in there as well. So yeah, it was a bit weak, to be honest, but yeah, that's kind of where price actually ended up reacting from. So yeah, eventually it could go higher, and you can look for price to go slightly more into that zone in there. All right, dollar index. That's kind of what you're looking for. Feel free to let me know or to ask questions as well. Now, S&P, okay, let's jump into the indices, the US indices, okay? So, big move to the upside yesterday, right? Now, what we talked about last week on the S&P, right? S&P was lagging, have been lagging comparing with the NASDAQ, okay? So we can see that quite easily. Just compare with the highs that were created in the summer, where NASDAQ has already broken out the structure, and the S&P has been lagging, and that has kind of been a pattern that we have seen this year, where NASDAQ has been moving slightly higher, quicker, and then S&P will take a little bit longer to eventually break exactly the same levels of structure that NASDAQ had already broken a few weeks before or a few days before. Okay, like for example, this high in here on August. It's a good example of what happened in the beginning, in the first semester of this year, where NASDAQ broke this high way quicker, and then S&P kind of still took a little bit long. But if you use this information correctly, then you can actually look for those opportunities eventually for the indices to kind of close the gap that there is between the levels that they are reacting from, and maybe you can start looking for opportunities like that. In this case, what would that mean? Maybe look for more longs on the S&P at this point until it closes the gap comparing with NASDAQ. Okay, that's a little bit of maybe how you can use that that info. So as long as you kind of have a good maybe opportunity to look for a sell, for a long in here, maybe you could have taken it. Okay, what else did you have? Like we start to slow down a little bit, not really any kind of proper structure being broken, price kind of still respecting that level. We did mention that there was maybe this gap in here that initially price ended up reacting from, the gap created back in the summer. Then there was this literally level of supply that was still fresh in here. With that, we did talk about that one as well in there. Okay, this highs never touched it, so there was that level in there that was still fresh, and price did reacted from it. And this is where the expectation of targets is quite important. Okay, this is where not every single level that price is going to react from, or that is still fresh from the left side, is going to end up making this type of a move. Doesn't mean that. Okay, if you identify those levels that are still fresh and maybe quite important, we can expect a reaction, but be careful with the target. Like maybe the target is which will just either respect this previous level of support resistance in here, and price will just do this and continue, or maybe eventually can go a little bit more and react maybe from the lows, or just a little bit of another zone that's maybe somewhere in here. Okay, doesn't mean that price will just go all the way and make the same type of a move that did exactly from that level. Doesn't mean that. So that's where managing the expectations is important. Looking at the approach, how price is reacting, approaching the key level that you are looking for, and so on and so forth. Okay, yes, you did had a few lows in here being broken, but then the next structure was actually still, you can even use this low as a reference. Okay, that's basically what we still had in here. Okay, which kind of goes, even though I went to that one, so yeah, not even this wall was broken in this in here. Yeah, which was kind of still this daily demand zone in there. So yeah, that's kind of what we had. Nice reaction from that zone that we mentioned, that was still fresh in there, but now price actually is challenging and eventually maybe taking these highs in here. What else did you mention? Okay, you mentioned that price was reacting from that high, and there is maybe still a little bit of a gap between that that level in here. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind in here on the S&P. Okay, there's maybe that gap, which then eventually can take us even to the other zone slightly above that, and then we'll see where actually maybe there's opportunity to eventually look for those reversals. So again, if by any chance you are a counter trend trader, just like myself, and if you are thinking about selling this asset, yes, there are opportunities, as you can see, especially intraday opportunities, but be careful in managing your own targets, and also be careful trading double tops in this case. Okay, don't really maybe trade double tops, maybe actually wait for the liquidity to be corrected in some instance, and then try to find the opportunity immediately as price is moving downside. Try to find that entry in there. At this point, double tops most likely they're there to be, or the high is there to be broken and not really to respect as a double top in here. So that's something also to bear in mind at this point. If you're looking for longs, just continue to try to look for that opportunity until eventually you may have a proper break-off structure, which then starts opening slightly even more the door to maybe look for a move to the downside. But until there, just let it run, just let it go, and we'll see then where we're going to be by then. So yes, so again, is there anything in here at the highs? That's a good question. At this point in here, second, where is actually price reacting from? Okay, so price reacted from 4,600. It's interesting. So it's still within this level, and then price reacted from the other zone just above it, which takes us into here. Okay, that's basically where price reacted from. There's maybe still maybe that level in there. Okay, so price basically has reacted already from the base of this candle. This is a 4-hour candle. It's basically the low that created this last high. Again, that's one of the levels that we always look at, and there's a high probability the price tends to react from there. Again, it reacted from there in the summer, and now maybe the next level it will be maybe this supply there that maybe still fresh. Now I meant maybe this one. Yeah, maybe need to go into the lower time frame to then find out exactly if there's an opportunity in there. Somewhere in here, maybe we can take out these highs. Can maybe take everything in here and get kind of react for the next one. And with the probability, as I mentioned, the likelihood of actually price eventually take out these highs and get into the next level in there on the left side, as I mentioned, right? So that's actually maybe the expectation, the bigger picture, to eventually see price getting closer to this level in here. So that's S&P at this point in here. Yeah, nice retail range, price reacted, nice retail reaction from here, creates liquidity, goes, reacts from it again, and continues to move higher. Really nice. NASDAQ. Great. So what do we have, right? NASDAQ, as you can see, kind of still starting to move a little bit lower. As I mentioned just before, right? NASDAQ has already broken these highs 2 weeks ago, okay? And S&P is now getting really close to that, right? So it's a 2 weeks gap at this point between the timing of breaking this structure, which was the just take a look into it. It's just the high created in the summer. Okay, so this high created in the summer is basically what we are looking at. Now, NASDAQ reacted from a beautiful level on the left side. Okay, so that was actually something that we are also looking at, and it was really good. Okay, so it reacted from a little bit of this structure in here, which was a really nice reaction from this level. Okay, so that was actually really nice to go into the lower time frame in there, and you can really see it. I don't really have the lower time frame in here, but I do have it on the MT4. But yeah, that's beautiful. And since then, right, we started, what else do they start having in here is that we start having this type of compression. Okay, maybe this is still the zone or the range that we are looking at. And there was this approach in compression in here, which eventually kind of broke it. And is price still reacting from here? Or it's already, yeah. So we're looking maybe for this now freshman zone a bit underneath. It's maybe where price got really close to react from. Okay, and that's basically, yeah, that was basically the target. It was this level. Everything in here, it was like spiked. When you do break finally this demand zone, then you are free to move to downside, and got really close to the target. Basically, we reached the target. The target, even though I'm marking this low in here, the target is not exactly this low. As you can see, this low was already reacted from here. This one took this one, and kind of this is the next fresh level. And they're always looking for the next fresh level to find your target in here. If then some of this is broken, then you can look maybe for price to move even lower. So now the question mark is price ready to actually bounce from here and move to the downside? Is there anything in here at the top or at the highs that we can anticipate for price to move lower? This is actually quite interesting that we managed to create this structure in here, okay, with these highs that eventually could be faked out with price maybe getting a little bit closer to the top. Okay, there is literally a little bit of a reaction. So what else? Again, the zones that we are looking for, like, so one of them is the base that created last high that's kind of reacted in here. So that's taken, actually not exactly taken because price actually left a gap in there. Then the next one to be kind of some kind of supply in here, which you don't really see it, and rest is literally the top in here. Okay, so that's a little bit of the structure that you're looking for. Now there's maybe still actually, again, this could have been a great short in there that exactly move. There's maybe still a reaction to be expected from this level in here, but then eventually yeah, then eventually could go slightly higher to do something like that, and then maybe continue to move down. Now we did respect this lows in here. I would have much rather have seen this NASDAQ actually eventually breaking completely below this level if it wanted really to to give a more of a bearish sign in here. Okay, that would be my ideal. It will be finally. Oh, what am I doing? It's from this side. Stay there. Yeah, so I would have preferred to see NASDAQ probably breaking below these lows to give me a sign that it really wanted to start it to shift completely. As long as price it continues to kind of respect still the base of this level, there's the risk of continue just to move higher and eventually can even go and take the highs on the left side. Okay, so this may be just a very bit of a structure in here just to continue, which again maybe that can happen, taking price a little bit more to the upside in there. So definitely that can happen in there. Now the Dow, right? So what we're having here, complete move to the upside. Okay, also it was lagging a little bit. Dow, it had a big move to the downside. Again, good reaction from this level, took this low, and it was lagging in terms of breaking the highs from last summer, from this summer, and finally broke it, and with such a momentum that is literally taking us into the all-time highs in here. Okay, that's basically where is it. The Dow is moving towards to. Now it's reacting a little bit from the base, or kind of it's close at the base of this level, which maybe has already been taken. Okay, I'm looking for price. Now the level I'm talking about is literally the base of this level that created that high. Definitely that we still have this structure in here. This is literally the last one that created, at least on this time frame, and price can literally still react from here. It's actually kind of a nice one with this left shoulder as well. It actually managed to break these lows in here, so it's okay level to pay attention to, and you have literally the highs just below that level that can be quite attractive eventually to see price taking all this structure and getting into here and maybe an opportunity. But since it's all-time highs, it's always a tricky one. Okay, anytime you're looking for all-time highs, that's yeah, it's not exactly there. Yeah, it makes it a bit tricky. Because price can easily just create a new all-time high and then sell. Like you can imagine how many people are actually trying to sell in there. So why not just break the highs and then makes everyone bullish and then kind of moves downside. The dollar yen, unfortunately, actually respected the high. There was a little bit of a zone in there at the highs that price eventually reacted from, as we have seen. And since then it's been just moving to downside. But yeah, so that's basically the base of that. A little bit more of the extreme in here. Also that price could eventually go to. We have this high in here as well and to look at. Now, maybe a little bit of something in here can still be expected. Again, at the base of this level. But okay, if by any chance the Dow has a little bit of correction first, before maybe challenging these highs and getting into that zone. Okay, so that's kind of the type of a move that we have. Really strong. Again, all this was compressed. We kind of talked about it. And then kind of a little bit of a reaction from there. But aside from that, everything in here has been compressed. This was a level that maybe we mentioned that was still a little bit fresh. There was that spike in there, price moved down, and then a continuation to the upside, takes all these highs, and the rest is history. In here, right? So price still respected that level, it went down, and yeah, since then it's just moving upwards and upwards and upwards in here. Which kind of now leaves this level a little bit underneath there. This is maybe already a little bit of a zone that was already taken, so eventually can take it into there. But since we break that level, it becomes a really interesting zone to look for a long. That's kind of another typical pattern that we see happening. Okay, fake out the level, breaks the continuation to the upside that it wanted to go to, not reacting to anything interesting on the left side, and then this level becomes a really good level for the execution in there. So that's something to bear in mind still. In here, so yep, on the Dow, yeah, just let it continue to go higher, and then we'll see what's next. With curiosity to see which our price may react around this 36,700 mark. And then we have the DAX, right? So DAX as well, It was another one that you mentioned. As soon as price breaks this level, there is free space to first and foremost feel this compression, but then eventually go all the way to test this next structure in here at the highs, which is kind of again all-time highs in there, which is where price actually is react, or kind of where it closed now for the weekend. It kept respecting this upper trend line in here. As well, kind of that was a good turnaround in here, really good reaction from that level. So price is now at this point, and as you can see, Dow is actually managing to break slightly new highs and go down a little bit, and that this is going to be a good question mark of what to expect in here, right? Again, the inflation in the Eurozone has been much better than expected, and maybe that's one of the catalysts as well to start seeing this these rallies on the DAX and the other European indices. Okay, basically the expectation is that maybe what the market is looking at is for the ECB to start cutting rates, not just in December, but maybe already in April. So that would be kind of a game changer in there for the Eurozone as well. So we'll see if that's going to happen, right? But this is a reaction from the market of thinking that the inflation battle has been won. And everyone is quite excited at this point. So let's see if that's going to be the scenario. Again, in here, yes, there's maybe something that we can look for price to react from. Again, we do have the base of it, and then we have basically a little bit more of a zone in there to look for. The extreme of the zone looks like it's been already touched a few times, so there's maybe not much to expect if price does get closer to this level, again on the right side. But if price does get closer a bit to here, maybe there isn't really that much. This level basically already taken in there. This one basically is taken a little bit in here. There's maybe some reaction here if you go into the lower time frame, but yeah, there's not really a fresh level in here. Maybe something in here above these highs, but why not then just to take again once again the highs and then to move down. This level in here can be quite interesting, to be honest, as an initial reaction, and then price may just move down until it just continues in there. Okay, so that's basically a little bit of a zone to maybe pay attention to, and then okay, we can maybe throw that one in here on the DAX as well. So yeah, here we are. So for example, if we're looking for targets at this particular point, we have a bit of separation in here between this level and that level to the next one. Okay, when we finally broke above this compression zone, it kind of created this momentum to the upside, and that's kind of a little bit of a zone to pay attention to. So we can maybe start actually pay attention to this level in here to start eventually looking for price to be filled. Of course, we do have this demand zone, needs to be still touched, and then eventually price may just continue to go higher. Already had this spike down into here, but this value is still fresh. Maybe something in here also maybe still fresh as well. But yeah, even if price kind of reacts a little bit from that zone that we just marked, which is just in there, which basically where price literally is pausing right now. Look at this, it's actually reacting exactly from there. Yeah, let's see on Monday how price opens. Expectation of this move downside, or just literally could challenge the all-time highs, and we'll see what happens after that, right? So that's basically what to look for in here. Yeah, so that's for the indices. Again, a lot of bullish momentum in here. The news, the CPI reports, also PCE, also yesterday or Thursday, come out slightly better, which was good as well to see in the market, and the indices are reacting quite strongly to those news. Like, it was a really bullish month for the indices, as you can see. Look at that monthly kind of in November. Okay, super bullish. Same on NASDAQ, same on the Dow, and a bit same of also on the DAX, right? So that's super strong. Now moving along, and now we're looking at the Euro index. Okay, so we had a correction. Okay, Euro index has been reacting from a really good level on the left side. So we talked about that level a few times. Maybe there is a potential to eventually even go higher, but this was a good level in here where Euro index has been reacting from. And we did mention, I believe, like we did mention the break of these lows last week, right? So we mentioned that Euro index had broken these lows and hasn't really reacted from anything relevant in here. Like there's literally a gap still between this low and that level. It reacted from that small demand, but that's not exactly the key structure in here to continue to push price up. So that happened, and then it will be just about finding the opportunity to look for another move to the downside on the Euro index. Okay, which basically, again, we have this compression to the upside until finally price breaks it and starts moving lower. Where did price kind of end up reacting from? We have this really good structure in here, and this is actually kind of a really nice demand supply level in here with this candle, which is kind of still fresh. This structure in here is literally fresh because price never reacted from it, and yeah, that's basically what we had on the Euro index. Price kind of breaks below it, comes back one more time, a great sell opportunity in here, now reacts from that level. Okay, the zone that should have or could have worked as a support, okay, because this was a resistance zone, kind of this high. It could have been worked as a support where price could bounce from it and go higher. It doesn't, and it actually works to the opposite side. Okay, so price in theory could have done this. It doesn't, kind of goes there, breaks actually to the downside, and it actually leaves a really good supply level in there, which is then used as a continuation to the downside. And yes, everything in here has been compressed basically. So this was one of the last barriers from price, which then is broken. Again, this demand zone should have respected price. It doesn't. It actually kind of ends up reacting then to the downside from there. So yeah, really nice move on this Euro index. What are we looking for? Yeah, maybe all this rectangle that I have in here, this red one, is going to be the next structure to look for as a target on the Euro index in here. Okay, so we have the turn. There's maybe a retracement here. Price can still respect something in there and move to the downside. Maybe a little bit of a demand in there, and you can look for price to go definitely below these lows, which maybe had already broken something in here more on the left side. And yeah, so basically already kind of broke also these lows in there. And yep, so perfect. Structure is almost always the same way. Okay, then you can look for that price in there. Then you can start looking for price to get into this type of structure. So that's basically the last high, created this last low, but then you can maybe consider this one as well as a reference, which may be still fresh in here, which maybe can be an interesting level to expect some bounce from around this level. And then you can actually look for the last one in there from here, which maybe has already been taken exactly by this candle on the way up. This one in here, which kind of left the demand zone in here, this kind of react from it and move upwards. And then maybe this demand zone is still fresh, this one may have missed it. And that's what we have. That's basically what we have. Already had kind of nice quasi model created within this demand zone. Price went upwards, retest the left shoulder, goes higher. So there's not really much going on in here. Maybe it's kind of a bit spiked. So I'm curious to see how this Euro index might continue to move to go slightly lower. Maybe something here to expect some kind of reaction from. So yeah, maybe continue. Again, maybe look for something that price should have respected on the way down. It didn't, which can continue to move to the downside. Maybe price can actually have a full retracement tool here before continue to move forward. This is literally in the go down. And yeah, there's maybe something in there to look for some kind of reaction, and then it continue to move lower and lower and lower, and we may get there in here on the Euro index. So that's going to be an interesting one to see if there's more room to downside on the Euro index. And then we have the yen index. Okay, this was, again, as we mentioned just a little bit before, this was an engulf upwards that we talked about last week, and then price which we just retraced, and we were looking for price to go below that level and react actually a little bit further down, which price didn't really do in there. Okay, so price didn't really came all the way maybe to respect this level, even though, again, looking into detail, paying attention to what price actually is doing, maybe explains why maybe price didn't really retrace all the way towards to the base of the zone. And talking about basically in here, okay. And maybe the reason for that is because actually, as you can see in here, and we actually mentioned that last time, price has already reacted from exactly the level. Okay, there is this low in here on the way up, price which reacts from it on the way up. Okay, so that level doesn't really need to be picked up again, and you start looking for price to go into whatever structure is left standing here. And basically, if you actually look at it, again, this is a bit tricky, but maybe it's something in there. You can see that you maybe have this demand zone, price now compress, goes higher, reacts from it already. Okay, and that's basically maybe in here or in there. Those are basically the two levels that we'll be looking for price to go to below this level in there. And then yes, the bigger picture maybe slightly lower in there. And basically price where did it go to? It actually went to this one in there. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit, if again getting into more detail, if you want to do that, we can help you without to not miss some moves in here. Again, we are going to look at euro yen in a bit, and it's kind of a similar situation on the euro yen, which in the bigger picture we maybe wanted price to go slightly higher, but if you go into slightly more war time frame, we see exactly actually where euro yen reacted from when it started to move to the downside once again. Bigger picture, as we mentioned, this yen index, it worked exactly as we were anticipating. Again, that move to the upside, it was a break, we mentioned that, move upwards with this structure still fresh. And then after that, kind of nice turnaround, break trend line again to the upside, reacted really nicely from again that structure, and since then is moving upwards. Yeah, nice collection of liquidity in here, and now moving to the upside, expecting price to break above these highs and to continue to move higher, and getting maybe finally feel this rectangle in here. Okay, so that's a little bit of something to pay attention to. Again, this level may have been left behind, which eventually in the future can make it as a good trading opportunity. Price just reacted a bit from that level in here, but as you can see, after that fake out, again, that's another typical pattern that we just talked about before. Typical pattern to wait for that fake out. If the final destination hasn't been reached, this can be actually a really good opportunity to look for a long without price actually having the need to go all the way to the next zone in there. So yes, curious to see eventually how price may react from here. Again, can bounce, can go upwards after that. Yeah, that's kind of something simple to maybe to look for. So let's see on the yen index if you're ready to go and to move to the upside from here. Yeah, so yeah, those are the indices, and now we're going to look at individual currency pairs. All right, so what we have in here, euro dollar. Beautiful move, right? So it reacted exactly from a level that we're looking for. Okay, we looked at that level in there. It's again the base of one of the last highs that created the last lows that created the last high, and in alignment with that, there was a beautiful supply level in there, which is exactly where euro dollar reacted from in here on, was it Thursday? Yeah, it was Wednesday. Yes, we did have all the structure, including these highs in here that were there to be faked out, because this one again never really reacted from there. Beautiful. We had this compression, and we were actually still looking for price to eventually get to here. As soon as we kind of break below, that was one of the targets. It was for price to get back to this structure in here. Okay, so this was one of those situations where the target was starting to be quite clear, and there was maybe that opportunity to look for a bigger trade. Okay, so that was something that we anticipated. Price was kind of compressing, We can look or wait for maybe to break something in here, and then if there's nothing in here to stop. And I think I mentioned actually maybe that last week as well, there was a gap. This low didn't really react all the way to the level, which yeah, basically it was reacted right now. Okay, so that was a really good opportunity set up on the euro yen. Good compression upwards. We have the turn, and since then we have the move to the downside. So great. Nothing really much to mention. Again, the news with the inflation being better than expected, and yeah, since then. Now the question is, are you going to break this level? Like, again, in the bigger picture, this may already be seen as a break to the downside. Okay, as you can see, basically this kind of already broke below that level, which perhaps can be seen as an engulf down. In the overtime, like in 1 hour at least, they didn't really broke the structure that we have in here. When we took these lows, didn't really took this one, and that was something that I still paid attention to. Again, the question mark the same as the dollar yen, and sorry, it's the same as the dollar index. Is this high kind of a really good high to expect now a full retracement, or and maybe even continuation to downside, or should we maybe just fill here and maybe move higher? Like what you can see in here is that actually euro dollar already kind of filled the range in here. Dollar index hasn't really reached the range that we are looking for to the upside. Okay, so actually there's a little bit of a lag at this point, or difference between the dollar index and euro dollar, which is interesting, which maybe takes still dollar index to go higher, which eventually then is going to take this euro dollar to maybe move actually lower from where it is in here. Maybe if you actually again draw some kind of Fibonacci just to see, again, as you know, it was at around 60.18, and as you can see, this euro dollar actually went slightly above the 60.18 in there. So again, if it breaks below, we are looking for price to go lower and then starts to look a bit more to the downside. The same thing, is this the final high? It is a okay high, but eventually we would like to see maybe price even going slightly higher in here. So yeah, that's a bit of what we have on the euro dollar. The highs in here, by any chance, if price does want to go higher, yeah, maybe yeah, this has been taken. There's maybe something in here above this one at the extreme of the extreme that maybe price could still react from. Aside from that, yeah, maybe in here can be interesting as well to look for. Yeah, maybe within this level can be something in there. Yeah, that's basically what we have on the euro dollar. Then you can continue to move forward. But this last week was definitely to look for that opportunity to the downside, and it was in alignment with many other euro pairs, which is something that you want to also pay attention to in order to give you that confluence or extra confluence of that you are looking actually for a really good opportunity in here. Pound dollar just continues to move higher. Okay, kind of broke through kind of this zone that could have been a little bit of a reaction. From there we had a little bit, but then price just literally continue to move higher, and they are looking for maybe price to fill this range in here, if not then even going slightly higher in here. Okay, so yeah, that's maybe the expectation, is to continue to see this pound dollar to move to the upside, and eventually maybe fill out this and start looking for price to go even higher than that. Okay, we had this move to downside. Price wise, we took these lows, kind of reacted literally from this last 2 month zone in here. That's a little bit of what he did. Yeah, at this point, not really sure if this rectangle is still relevant or not. Maybe we can actually eventually delete it, and eventually looking for price to move slightly higher into there. Yeah, so that's something just to bear in mind, to continue to follow. Maybe a little bit of some reactions as soon as we break above these highs, correcting, and then, well, we'll see after that. And how this situation led into a big sell-off on the euro pound. Okay, again, the euro has been quite weak with the news. Initially, we were kind of looking for this range in here for price to react from. It respected that extreme, and since then, again, all this moved to the upside. We mentioned also that price has been compressing quite a lot. This was already break of a low. Kind of this one kind of breaks a little bit in there as well. Kind of that one kind of respected. Yeah, incredible, right? So the movement, the move to downside in here, quite strong. Again, a bit in compression, and now we had this momentum to the downside. Now, what are you going to be looking at in here? Okay, so we know, of course, you can see that price broke these lows, kind of even managed to break below that level, and maybe the next structure in here, it was still in here. Okay, so maybe there's a little bit of space eventually for this euro pound to go towards 2 in there. So that's something to bear in mind. Because price basically just reacted from the top of this level, and in here, is there anything in here that price can still use? That's the question mark. Is there anything in here that price can still use to eventually push price higher? In order to do that, I want to, of course, start seeing some weakness at this point on the euro pound. Okay, so we need to see some weakness. Now this is kind of a good momentum, a good compression. We had the momentum, and now one of two things is going to happen: either kind of reversal, or price is going to pause a little bit and then just literally break below it. So we need to start paying attention to that losing of momentum on the euro pound, eventually to move to the opposite side. There's maybe something in here at the lows that can be interesting. Yeah, or maybe something in there as well that can be interesting as well. At this point, it's just the first levels to look for, and that's maybe something to bear in mind, expecting some reaction from here, and then maybe eventually continue to move lower. We have that level, something in here, so we could maybe feel a little bit of this zone in here until maybe get there, and then we'll see if we continue to move lower, or by any chance price starts to manage to break some highs in here. But maybe there's a zone in here, a space in here that price could feel. Okay, so that's something that can be already a good target. Like, for example, if price does get closer to that structure. Okay, I'm trying to be more detailed in here. Yeah, this level is kind of interesting and extreme in there. Okay, so let's pretend that price actually wants to maybe go into this level, which maybe consider that one. This one in here has been already taken. Price already reacted from this level, which kind of levels into this next one in here. So if price does want to get there, okay, let's maybe first make it work a little bit, and then eventually can go and now finally take it, and now maybe start pricing, moving to the upside. Okay, again, I don't know if there's any kind of trend line that has been going on in here that price maybe eventually needs to break through. Okay, maybe price maybe can, let's just do this differently. Yeah, so price can, price can actually go, okay, retrace a little bit, go down, kind of create a little bit more of a trend line in here, and eventually kind of have that big momentum down, and now break it like this and start moving like this. So that could be eventually as a target towards this level. Okay, so we may have that other trend line being maybe created like this as well, something that could happen. We may have a little bit of a structure in here to play with, between this level, and that could be an interesting opportunity. And if it by any chance already broke above this, maybe this size in here as well, then we can maybe look for price to fill that range into there. Okay, so that could be a potential opportunity on the euro pound to pay attention to for the next few days as price continues to move lower, especially if you start slowing down. This can be definitely a good level, or just create maybe something similar, but look for price to maybe go below this level in here. And yeah, this can be a target. Again, first target, it's always going to be something in here. Okay, don't really go all crazy. I'm looking already for price to go there without even price breaking this structure. But then after that, there's definitely that potential. And then price eventually can move forward. Okay, unless price kind of goes here, doesn't really close this gap, starts moving lower, which then and eventually breaks below this in here, which then this zone in here is going to be used in the future to look for new shorts after taking these highs. Okay, if by any chance price doesn't really feel this price in here, maybe just reacts from this maybe supply zone, whatever it may be, or whatever structure there is maybe on the left side. Yeah, that would be one of the scenarios where maybe price doesn't really completely go all the way there, stop in the middle and go down. But again, this is already kind of a good enough of a target either way if you are looking for that potential opportunity in here. Okay, maybe kind of one entry in here, maybe another entry in there, and if you do find something here, even better. But yeah, that's kind of something to bear in mind. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit more in detail of maybe the way to try to capitalize on a move like this, and something that you can start preparing beforehand on the euro pound. All right, okay, so again, that's a lot of the work that we do on a daily basis with the traders. Moving the next one. Okay, now you're starting to look at this Aussie dollar. Okay, so Aussie dollar, which had a better CPI, a better inflation report than expected. Again, this move at the lows, it happened exactly when the net with the previous CPI report, it was higher than expected, and we finally turned. Then the interest rate, the hike in interest rate decision come out 1 or 2 weeks after that, and since then kind of it just continued to move to the upside. Okay, so this was a great moment to see the fundamentals in alignment with the PA in order to look for that turn. We were calling for that, and since then price has been just moving to the upside. Good reaction there, price moving to the upside, and it just continues in here. Now, what is the next target? Okay, we will be looking for price to actually go above that level, and to be honest with you, we are aiming for price eventually to get closer to this double top that we have in here, with a chance eventually to even look for something more like this. Okay, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is maybe the next range that you are looking for, and whatever structure that we may be aiming to look for, maybe in alignment without this, even though this one may be already be taken by that one, so it's a bit weaker in that aspect. But yeah, so something in here, price kind of reacted a little bit from this level, and maybe when you can continue to go slightly higher. You may need to go into the war time frame definitely to see what kind of levels are still fresh that maybe price can end up reacting from in here. But overall, really nice move on the Aussie dollar. We kind of anticipated that since the beginning of at the end of last month, when you created this low, there is a probability that maybe price could turn. We can first target somewhere in here, but then everything in here is already compressed and taken, so eventually price could even go higher, especially when you do manage to break. And there was again a break slightly in here. There's this candle actually broke above this high. We definitely were looking for price to go higher in there. So nice move, and let's see what's next. It starts to compress a little bit, so again we may have a little bit of move up and down. This is basically the new maybe structure to look for. But there's maybe this demand zone that's still fresh. It's actually maybe quite interesting to look for in there. Yeah, that can be actually quite interesting as a zone eventually for this Aussie dollar to maybe react from and maybe continue to go higher. Yeah, why not? Or whatever price is reacting from already, when eventually gets there, we'll see what kind of opportunities are going to be played out in there. On the other side, we have this Euro Aussie, which again, there was already this engulf down. So that was something that we also mentioned. My favorite would have been for price actually to get there and not just stop in here. But apparently it paused in there and never really closed its gap, and meanwhile kind of moving to the downside. Okay, so we're looking for that move as well, and there we go. Okay, so we're definitely, again, we mentioned that, looking for shorts. Now the question mark it to be from where, and yeah, price just paused in here. We had that trigger also to look for continuation. Below that we have a little bit of the money here, but everything in here now has been taken, and we can start looking slightly more to the downside in here on the EURUSD. This move has already kind of reacted from there. It's maybe something in here at the extreme of the extreme, just maybe for some bounce for price maybe to do this and maybe then continue to move lower. Of course, now we have this previous level in here to pay attention to. We have also all the structure that was left behind after this big sell-off, so price eventually can go and retrace there, maybe even react from here instead, and then continue to move lower in there. So yeah, that's basically where we are in here on the EURUSD at this point. Okay, attention to this previous level support resistance, which can be quite interesting. Yeah, that's already reacted from all these flows, so we're actually looking for price to maybe go to the next one, somewhere in there, right? Yeah, so that's kind of what you have. And again, if the Aussie dollar continues to move higher, we talked about this one as well. I'm forgetting about it. So last week when we talked about, we noticed this compression, we noticed this gap, right? So that's basically the opportunity, one of the best opportunities to look for that trend continuation to the downside. It was literally for price to fake out this level and basically got closer to that level and trade after that as a sell. Like this, it's so clear what they're trying to do in here with this strong move upwards, collect liquidity, and then just continue. It's the best way for any kind of trend continuation setup. It's exactly this what you want to see, and then after that you can kind of literally just move to downside. Yeah, you can literally just continue. So that was a nice little opportunity. Not always they're going to kind of create this kind of a move to be as clear as this, right? But yeah, when they happen, it's just a great opportunity to take advantage. Now, dollar yen, right? So as you mentioned, dollar yen did reacted and respected at the top. Again, we already covered that high in there. It was literally at the extreme, it was still fresh, and then kind of was a bit left behind. Price continue, and basically this week price continue to respect this level and start moving to the downside. So this was the zone also that we kind of looked at, and there you go, continuation, right? We noticed that price had broken that low, so the continuation to downside is in place, and you are looking actually for price to even go below this level. Okay, so again, that has been a little bit of the initial zones and targets. It eventually can even go below that level, but maybe some reaction from here could be expected, and then eventually price can go slightly lower into more in here, and we will see what happens afterwards. Okay, but maybe first and foremost, just be aware of when eventually price does break below this low, which is kind of a bit of the expectation for a target. We may have a little bit of a correction or a reaction. Okay, and the daily time frame looks good as well, and it's kind of a little bit in alignment with this previous structure, so we may have a little bit of a reaction from there. Yeah, I may have it. So just keep track of it. Maybe there's a trend line in here to be played. Yeah, let's see on the dollar yen what may happen in here. So yeah, that's what we have at this point. And then we have this euro yen, right? And euro yen, as I mentioned, this could have been one of the great opportunities. We also covered that price had managed to break, broke in here the first time, and then kind of continue to break below. It had respected slightly this level, which was kind of an open daily candle. It was kind of created during the opening, which is kind of always a bit tricky in terms of if this is just specifically from this broker, if this actually happening everywhere. So it's always a bit tricky, right? But we did have this gap eventually to fill. Great compression, start breaking a low, and we had these highs to be faked out, right? That was the structure that we wanted to be seeing taken. And this is what I mentioned in terms of when you are looking at the higher time frame. Again, this is basically, let me just open up like this. Okay, so this is basically the high. Okay, so this is basically the last low that maybe created that last time on this daily time frame on 4 hour. That's maybe the other go in there, right? So basically on the 4-hour time frame, maybe you were looking for price to get at least closer to that level, to which we close that zone in there. But if you start looking into the hour time frame, you now can already see that maybe on the hourly time frame, that's actually the last low, price goes up and moves down, and the space is in there, and you continue to move to the hour time frame, and that's actually on the 30-minute time frame. That's where actually it happens in there. Price compress, and this is actually where the momentum happens, is somewhere in there. Okay, so this is just something to bear in mind. Otherwise, if you just literally wait for price to go here, then price never really goes there. I did miss many trades because of that, and of course, because I was indeed missing all those trades, that's when then it starts forcing to go into even more detail, to pay attention to actual price where it's reacting from, and to kind of then try to avoid continue to missing those trades. Okay, so basically that's the structure, that's the compression, and that's kind of the next kind of zone in here that price finally move away, and there you go. Now in the future, maybe there's a reaction to expect from there, totally okay. But if you are just waiting for that level, meanwhile, maybe you have missed all this move down. Again, maybe we don't really trade this level, maybe actually then waiting for the retrace after we finally break a low, and there I'll kind of break also this upper trend line, and there you go, kind of same story. Okay, so basically a bit more of the same story, again kind of this direction here to fake out, and yeah, it's basically the range that you're looking in here. Okay, the range created, we have the move to downside, we have the fake out, and within this structure, expecting for price to react from. This level in here has been already reacted from there, which takes us into the next level in there, and also in there, and that supply could be an option as well. So there you go, really nice reaction in here. Again, another small gap in here to be created. We broke close as well, so that's how everything was in play in there, or what we actually want to see in order to look for the short. So we could have one option there, maybe another option there. This one was which we taken straight away in here, and that's basically what you're looking for. And then as price continues now to break lows, then we start tracking again where is the next level, and price meanwhile just continues. And anticipation was which you took down. Where is the target in here, right? So one of the targets could have been somewhere in there, basically below this low. It's basically you have a little bit of a correction, then you have even a breakthrough that level, which then starts opening the door to go even lower, and then it's more of about looking for trend continuation setups in here, and all of a sudden we start looking for something bigger on the euro yen. Okay, is this all the way through? It's kind of being too optimistic at this point on the euro yen. If you look like that, of course we do have this structure, previous level support resistance, that you need to bear in mind. We do have these lows in here that most likely are really good to be taken, which takes us into this level in here to look for some kind of reaction. Now on this time frame, this may be that last zone to bear in mind as well. Okay, which then in the 1 hour time frame takes us into here already, which maybe this one has already been taken in there. Yeah, so maybe this one in here can still be a bit more fresh to expect some reaction as price continues to move lower below this zone in here. Something to bear in mind. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, so that's a little bit of what we're looking for at this point on euro yen. Even the retest of this level can be a continuation to the downside as well. Okay, so again, it was one of the great opportunities for this week to look for this move to downside. We already had that confirmation, and that was something that we have been anticipating for a while in here. Pound yen, slightly different. Okay, it's again still moving to the downside, but the pound has been a bit more stronger than the euro. It's still respected at high, kind of continue to do so. I was actually looking eventually for price to go slightly higher, but it starts to create, right? So again, this could have been a great opportunity to for that sell. Again, last Monday in here, right? It's kind of reacting from that structure in there after faking out the these highs as well, still respected that structure. What do we have in here? Like we have this engulf to downside. That's something to bear in mind, which then eventually can take this pound yen actually to move lower. So bear in mind with that. That's something that we also paid attention to. We have indeed this upper trend line in here as well. That price has kind of broken, and then since then moving lower, which is great as well. And yeah, that's basically a little bit of what you have. A bit more of a range, not really that final momentum to the downside as euro yen created, but still may happen. Okay, and especially if the yen index continues to go higher, maybe this one can continue to go a bit more lower. However, yes, there is a little bit of strength on the pound, which may be helping this pound yen to not be as negative, as bearish as for example euro yen in this case. So yeah, that's more what we have. What else do we have in here, right? So moving along, after the yen pairs, we look a little bit at the CAD. Again, CAD just continues, and it's kind of no surprise with that move as well. Okay, everything in here kind of was compressed. We did manage to break below that level, so we were looking literally for price to continue to move to the downside, and that has been the expectation. And in reality, eventually to look for price to maybe go all the way below these lows. Okay, now we may have a little bit of a reaction here. This is literally a fresh demand zone that's still in there, even though it's already kind of a little bit of a reaction already from this structure, which then eventually can take us even further down. This was a really nice reaction in there. That was on Thursday. Yeah, that's a really nice reaction from this previous support resistance of that structure in here. We had this about top. Yeah, nice reaction, nice move to the downside. And yeah, so that's basically what we have at this point in here. Yeah, this one kind of has already reacted from it as well. Compression then takes us into this level, and maybe can even go slightly lower. But yes, if there is a zone that maybe price could use to have a little bit of a retracement from here, this maybe could be the one in here to look for. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. If by any chance price does want to kind of go higher again, is there anything in here that maybe price can still use? This one maybe taken a little bit. Yeah, you kind of start this compression now. Price already kind of slightly breaks this high, reacting into the. Yeah, something here can be interesting. So that's something to bear in mind on the dollar CAD. Euro CAD, again, another big sell-off, right? So we reacted from that high a couple of weeks ago, or 1 week ago on the 21st. Meanwhile, we had I think CPI data coming out on CAD, and since then Euro CAD has been just moving down. There's a big strong compression that we talked about how this move. A little bit of a gap to look for. Nice reaction for trend continuation. Yeah, started breaking these lows. Price kept respecting this structure in here. A little bit of a fake out into that level. Left this one in here a little bit more, maybe for the future, whatever it may be. But now price may continue to move lower. Kind of respected a little bit this level and takes us into a little bit more in here. And then eventually can just continue, to be honest, and starts taking us into this next structure. In here, this was the beginning of this compression, which means that can be a nice, interesting structure to, yeah, for price to eventually go towards to in there. That could be a scenario. What we have also in the bigger picture, like I think you can actually see it, like we have this break, like which means that if price indeed reacted nicely from these highs, all of a sudden you kind of have price creating a double top in there, which makes it quite a bearish sign in here, since we actually had this move to the downside. Okay, so eventually that could be the scenario of looking. Don't be surprised if by any chance this euro CAD actually eventually continues to move forward and eventually take this low in here. Okay, so for example, that could have been one of the opportunities to hold into this trend, because we actually have a confirmation in the bigger picture that maybe this could happen like that. Okay, so that's one of those. And if you do retrace to a key level, and if you think that maybe that's the moment, that again could be one of those levels, one of those trades. So hold it now, eventually look for price to go to war on war, and yeah, eventually anticipate price to get into here on the bigger picture. Dollar franc Swiss just continues. Okay, again, we had a few levels and the target to look for as well, kind of below this low or even below this lows in here, with price getting closer to that level. We did manage to break slightly this highs. Then question mark is if this one in here is an engulf upwards, yes or no, which could be perhaps an engulf upwards. But for that to happen, that's maybe again below this level, below these lows. We could maybe anticipate for price to, or look if there's any kind of good reaction from here to look for a move to the upside. The compression is quite strong. Okay, you start having a little bit of a move to the upside. There has been some bull signs in here, but still hasn't really broken properly any highs, which eventually needs to happen for price to finally turn. Okay, in there. So again, let's see. These are the lows that eventually I want to be seeing taken, and after that we may have a little bit of a correction to the upside, which again, whatever structure price is coming from, that will be one of the targets. If price breaks above it, then we can maybe aim for price to get closer to this range once again on our franc Swiss. It's maybe something to pay attention to next week as well. Then we have gold, again, depending on which server you are using, it already broke the highs or not. Like for some reason for our time frame, it hasn't. It broke the highs, on the day it didn't. So who knows? But again, all of it in here has been a lot compressed. Price kind of went a little bit higher, and now the big continuation to the upside. It respected nicely that level, kept respecting kind of every single zone that we could see. Demand zones being respected. Maybe this gap in here, and again, nice little structure in there. And yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are on gold. And again, since it's all-time highs, who knows what's going to happen after we do completely break above this triple top, which is kind of starting to be in the fourth. Are you going to have some kind of a move like this or not? Like we did respect it, as we mentioned several times already. We managed to respect this this low, which makes it bullish. Okay, because you never managed to break below the structure. That would then open door a bit more to the downside. No, we respected it. Therefore, no surprise that you actually go higher. And who knows now, right? Again, who knows? Who knows what to expect now? Eventually, price may react or may retrace, maybe towards this level. Eventually, all this previous level of resistance may start working a bit of a support, and we'll see what kind of structure are going to be created now that we kind of are breaking these highs in here. Yeah, just keeping an eye on that one at this point. Oil has been kind of in the range. Again, we had the OPEC meeting. No surprises, maybe some anticipation of production cuts, but nothing that the market was not already pricing in there. So we had a little bit of a move upwards. Price still respected this level, and basically we are within this range for now. Okay, this may be again just a continuation. We covered that already. Maybe this is not the final target for this move to downside. Maybe the final target can be actually somewhere somewhere below this lows. Okay, so that's maybe a bit more of where we are looking for price to eventually go to, and in particular this level we are talking about around 68. Okay, that's a little bit maybe where price could go to. It reacted at this lows at 72.4, something like that. So yes, it could continue. It could continue to go lower. I wanted to look for that continuation to the shorts after price maybe takes this level, goes into here. That's kind of what I wanted, or what I was looking for. Price just paused in there, created kind of that double top in there. and maybe price can continue to move forward now. Now there's maybe something in here at these lows that maybe can still be used. Okay, price could fake out that and maybe go higher a little bit, so that's just something to bear in mind. But eventually price could continue to move even further down. Again, maybe in here could also be interesting, just taking this low and a bit of a move after that, or eventually fill out this compression and we can start looking for something better from here. Okay, yeah, that's basically on oil what to look for, or what I'm going to be trying to pay attention to in here. And then just to finish a little bit with crypto. Okay, so it continues to move higher. Bitcoin continues to move to the upside as well. Already we're getting really close to the 39 mark. Again, is still around that structure that we're looking for. If BTC does break this level, then there's potentially a little bit of reaction around 42, but then I'm eventually looking for price to get closer to that 45 mark. Okay, in terms of what we're looking in here, price continues to respect this upper trend line. It fake out this low, but just respected really next to the previous demand zone that was kind of left behind. In here, since this low never reacted from it, then it left that space to go there. Nice reaction from there, a little bit in here, and at this point it just continues to go. So BTC, a little bit of this compression, and we'll see now what's going to happen after that. Okay, so again, there's no confirmation of any moves to downside at this point. So price may actually just continue to go higher again. We'll see. We'll see. The situation with the ETF kind of expected to come out the decision in January. So yeah, that can be a big boost for BTC zone, for crypto in general. It's going to be interesting. Ethereum continues to move slightly to the upside as well, which again is lagging in comparison with Bitcoin. As we know, Bitcoin is kind of reacting already from kind of this structure in here, basically in reality that structure in there that had that compression. So this is the same thing with S&P and NASDAQ. Ethereum most likely can break above all this structure and have a little bit of momentum from this 2100 all the way maybe to 2500, and it could happen quite quickly, to be honest. But we'll see. Like after we do take this liquidity, maybe a small retracement before maybe continuation to the upside. And Solana, that respected the double low in there, again respected now the base of this one more time, and we are getting closer to the extreme in here, and you'll see how it's going to react from it. Since we kind of reacted, it created this double bottom, and then that one, it makes it a bit bullish, to be honest, which then we are looking for price to get. We can go to 78, okay, a bit more into this next level in there. So that's something to bear in mind and something to look at in here as an opportunity to look for in there. All right, yeah, that's basically it. Guys. Yeah, interesting week. What's going to happen? We'll see if the indices continue to go higher. If the euro continues to go slightly lower as well, what's going to happen with the yens is going to be a confirmation and continuation to the downside, or a little bit of retracement maybe before a continuation to the downside. So that's something to look at. Again, the indices are approaching the highs. For example, Dow and DAX approaching all-time highs. gold as well, right? What's going to happen is going to continue to rally, and where is the next potential zone? Again, since we don't have anything on the left side, it's hard to then predict. At least I always need information in terms of price from the left to anticipate anything. Otherwise, I need to first let price actually create some kind of structure, move down, and then we'll see what's going to happen in there. So yeah, so it's great. Feel free to ask any questions. Again, as I mentioned, I am structuring at this point, and I'm going to create my own community. It's an opportunity if you guys would like actually to then work closer with me and on a daily basis. Yeah, feel free to send me a comment or a question and to ask if you are interested or not. I'm going to be sharing more information about it as well in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, to let you guys know about everything. With that being said, thank you very much, guys. I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good weekend.